Weekend Barry rolls into Louisiana, drenches Gulf Coast. Video by NBC News. New Orleans APU Barry rolled into the Louisiana coast Saturday, flooding highways, forcing people to scramble to rooftops and dumping heavy rain that officials had feared could test the levees and pumps that were bolstered after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans in 2005. After briefly becoming a Category 1 hurricane, the system weakened to a tropical storm as it made landfall near Intracoastal City, about 160 miles (257 kilometers) west of New Orleans, with its winds falling to 70 mph 112 kilometers, the National Hurricane Center said. By early evening, New Orleans had been spared the worst effects, receiving only light showers and gusty winds. But officials warned this. The Coast Guard rescued a dozen people from flooded areas of Terrebonne Parish, south of New Orleans, some of them from rooftops, a spokeswoman said. The people included none of the main levees on the Mississippi River failed or were breached, Edwards said. But a levee interrupted. Slideshow by Photo Services. Nearly all businesses in Morgan City, about 85 miles west of New Orleans, were shuttered with the exception of Metch's Donuts shop. Owner Todd Hoffpower, while making donuts, Hoffpower said he heard an explosion and a ripping sound and later saw that the wind had peeled off layers of the roof at an adjacent apartment complex. In some places, residents continued to build defenses against rising water. At the edge of the town, in Lafayette, Willie Allen and his 11-year-old grandson, Gavin Coleman, shoveled sand into 20 green bags, joining a group of more than 20 other people doing the same thing during a break in the rain. Wearing a mud streak, everybody. Many businesses were also shut down or closed early in Baton Rouge, and winds were strong enough to rock large pickup trucks. Whitecaps were oil and gas operators evacuated hundreds of platforms and rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. Nearly 70 Barry developed from a disturbance in the Gulf that surprised New Orleans during the Wednesday morning rush with a sudden deluge that flooded streets, homes, and businesses. For several days, elsewhere, more than 120,000 customers in Louisiana and another nearly 6,000 customers in Mississippi and Alabama were without power Saturday, according to poweroutage.us. During a storm update through Facebook Live, National Hurricane Center Director Ken Graham pointed to a computer screen showing a huge, swirling mess of airborne water. That Barry was moving so slowly that heavy rain was expected to continue all weekend. Forecasts showed, for a few hours, the storm had maximum sustained winds of 75 mph 120 km per hour, just above the 74 mph 120 km per hour threshold to be a hurricane. Barry was expected. Downpours also lashed coastal Alabama and Mississippi. Parts of Dauphin Island flooding closed some roads in low-lying areas of Mobile County in Alabama, and heavy rains contributed to accidents, said John Kilcullen, Director of Plans and Operations for Mobile County Emergency Management Agency. Governors declared emergencies in Louisiana and Mississippi, and authorities closed floodgates and raised water barriers around New Orleans. It was the first time. Still, Edwards said he did not expect the Mississippi to spill over the levees despite water levels already running high from spring rains and melting snow upstream. The barriers range, authorities told at least 10,000 people in exposed, low-lying areas along the Gulf Coast to leave, but no evacuations were ordered in New Orleans, where officials urged residents to shelter. Despite the apparent calm in her city, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell cautioned that the storm continued to pose a threat. The Associated Press writers Kevin McGill, Rebecca Santana, and Sarah Blake Morgan in New Orleans. Jay Reeves in Baton. For the latest on Tropical Storm Barry, visit https://apnews.com/hurricanes. Search for location/city.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,